Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, everyone.
Jonathan Voico.
Hello.
Special treat, Chris Carr's here.
Hi, everybody. Like a hobbit from a cruise ship.
Wow.
That's my vibe today.
So descriptive. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making this little show part of your day. And here's how the show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about some predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you got a thought, theory, comment, observation that you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and use our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Send it on in and we'll address it in the second half of the show. But here's the good news too. If you happen to be watching this video after the live stream was already done, like maybe you're watching this later in the evening, it still works. This tip link is good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're watching later tonight and you have a question, go ahead and use the tip link, send it on in, and we'll just get around to answering it on tomorrow's episode. All right, guys. With that all down, let's get things started off with this, shall we? You guys might remember that Warner Brothers made what Borderlands has taught us was the right decision in pulling the plug on the Batgirl movie. Well, Michael Keaton apparently doesn't care that they pulled the plug on the Batgirl movie. You know why? Because he got paid. This comes from the folks over at IndieWire and said the following. Now, Michael Keaton tells GQ that he didn't care that Batgirl was shelved. No, I didn't care one way or another. Big, fun, nice check, Keaton said. However, he added that the co-directors, LRB and Falah, I like those boys. They're nice guys. I pull for them. I want them to succeed. And I think they felt very badly, and that made me feel bad. Yet Keaton was unfazed by the decision. Me? Keaton said with GQ, noting that he shrugged. I'm good. So, now, of course, back when Warner Brothers decided to pull the plug on Batgirl, I remember Rob and I were both talking before that decision was made that, first of all, there was a lot of reports out there that the movie was an unmitigated disaster. Rob and I both talked about how we had heard from people specifically close to the production that it was in very, very, very rough shape. And at the end of the day, Warner Brothers decided, you know what? It's just better for us financially to just pull the plug on the project. Now, it's important to note, as Michael Keaton points out, everybody got paid. Like, it's not like they pulled the plug on the movie, you know, after they finished shooting and they stiffed everybody their paychecks. You know, everybody got paid. Everybody got given what they were owed, that sort of thing. But they just decided, you know what, this is just going to hurt our brand more than anything else. It's not going to make us any money, and we'll be better off financially if we just take a tax write-off on it. And they made this decision to pull the plug. And again, I have specifically heard from some people after seeing Borderlands and what's going on with that. It's like, you know what? I didn't like Warner Brothers' decision to pull the plug on Batgirl, but now I'm starting to see why they did it. Now, with Michael Keaton, I don't want anybody to think he's heartless. I mean, this was his movie he was going to be in. But I remember the great Michael Douglas in the same day that I accidentally left Robert De Niro hanging. Michael Douglas said to me when I asked him a question about, you know, this isn't your normal type of role. What made you want to come and do this particular movie? I think we were talking about Las Vegas.
It was Las Vegas.
Right, that's what it was. And Michael Douglas said to me, hey, look, I'm an actor for hire. This is my job. This is my career. If somebody has needs of my services and I can fulfill those needs with my services and you pay me for them, that's my gig. That's my job. That's why I do it. Which was a refreshingly honest answer. And it reminds me a lot to hear of what Michael Keaton is saying. It's like, hey, did I care that they pulled the plug? No. Why would Keaton say that? Because he got hired to do a job. He went, he did the job, he got paid for his job, and then he went home. And it made no difference to him about whether that movie that he already did the work on and got paid for, made no difference to him whether or not it got into theaters or not. Now, of course, it could affect other people different ways. That's why he said specifically, like, hey, the directors, they put their heart and soul into it. I felt bad for them. Absolutely. They felt bad, so I felt bad for them. I don't personally care, but I care that they cared. But I just thought it was a kind of a refreshing honest kind of assessment of the situation by Michael Douglas or by Michael Keaton. Now, Chris, you are in a unique position in this room that you are a performer. You perform for you. You are like what Michael Douglas says. You are an actor for hire.
And often like Batgirl, quite cut.
Quite
usually. I'm usually cut from the project.
that you're in. Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot last year about the whole Batgirl situation, but what do you think about Michael Keaton's comments here? Do they just actually sound on the one hand, like I'm interpreting them as pretty level-headed? It's like, yeah, this is just a way to assess the situation. Or maybe do you, as a performer yourself, does it come across as a little bit cold? Or I don't know. How do you see his comments?
The headline comes across as cold. When you actually read the article and get his full statement, then it's, oh yeah, he's just being kind of, is what it is. You know, I had a fun time. I had a great time. I feel so bad for the directors because I really love them and I vouch for them and I really want them to succeed. And I wonder how other actors feel about this too. I'd love to hear how like Brendan Fraser feels about being cut from the DC universe, that kind of stuff. I'd love to hear how, Batgirl herself actually feels about this. But I don't think it's anything that's said in ill will. I think it's just him trying to kind of roll with the punches. As an actor, a lot of times, particularly when you're doing PR, you do have to just be a duck on the water, right? Floating across, smooth sailing, and underneath your little legs can be going all crazy. You just shouldn't let people know.
I've never heard that analogy before.
Really?
A duck on the water. I'm
Maybe
not
it's just a
familiar with
Southern
that.
thing. But yeah, you just kind of try to be cool and not let anyone know how you're freaking out. Because that's when you get a bad sound bite that then goes viral on TikTok and Instagram Reels, right? So
yeah.
if you have something like this that you can just say, hey, I had a good time. Shame about what the directors did, though, because they were really great guys. I think that's a fine clip.
You brought up Brendan Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but wonder, and again, we'll never know, but I can't help but wonder, because, he was fresh coming off of getting an Oscar.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he might have breathed a sigh of relief because he didn't want, maybe, again, I'm totally projecting and speculating here, okay? Let me be clear. But I wonder if there's not a part of Brendan Fraser who's like, whew, because I don't want my big follow-up thing to have been what this was going to be. You know who I felt worse for? Who was the lead?
Leslie.
Leslie
gosh.
Grace? No.
Leslie Grace.
I believe so.
Leslie Grace, who, and I cannot remember now whether she got at whether she came out of not West Side Story, but
In the Heights.
In the Heights.
She's wonderful in that.
I felt most bad for her because this was her first big. The spotlight is on me. I'm the big main character, so I kind of felt bad for her. But I mean, I kind of get where Michael Keaton's coming
For
from
sure.
on this.
And given what DC did choose to release, boy, howdy, this must have been rough.
Yeah. Well, you and I have different opinions of Flash.
That's fair. It wasn't I don't think anyone thinks it's the great work of cinema it was promised to be.
No, I don't think it was. No, I definitely agree with you on that. Yeah. You know what? And Blue, it's too bad too, because Blue Beetle wasn't a bad little movie,
Blue Beetle's delightful.
But the damage was done.
Yeah.
Nobody went to go see these films. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think of Michael Keaton's comments here? I mean, we're now well over a year after the fact, but him saying, like, I honestly don't care that they pulled the plug. It was a fun time. I got paid, and that's all that really matters. I don't know. Whatever you guys think about them, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Actress Adria Arjona, who played Bix in Andor, has just come out and said that Andor Season 2 is way effing better. Way effing better.
Because she's in more scenes?
Than
Or-
Season 1. Maybe because, I don't know, she had some pretty
She had some pretty heavy
big,
scenes.
heavy, juicy scenes
Yeah.
in Season 1. Now, look, to put this in context for me, Andor, if those of you guys who watch the show on a regular basis, you've heard me say this many times. Andor, to me, is the greatest thing Star Wars has ever put out outside of the original trilogy. Like, forever, it's going to be New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi. That's the greatness, that's the glory, that's all right there. And there's been some great stuff and some not so good stuff in Star Wars since. We're going to talk about both today. But I think the best thing Star Wars has ever done after the original trilogy was Andor. It's just incredible. Like, I was floored every week I would watch. It's like, I cannot believe this is a real thing. I couldn't believe how good it was. Well, as you guys know, Andor Season 2 is coming. And now we got this comment from the actress who played Bix said this. Now, this comes us from the Men's Journal, who writes this. You are not prepared for how good Star Wars Andor Season 2 is, according to actress Adria Arjona. Arjona, who plays arms dealer and Cassian Andor's ex-girlfriend, Bix, in the first season of Disney Plus's critically acclaimed Star Wars drama, reprises her role in the sequel. This is what she said. I started reading Season 2. I was like, it's not going to be as good. Because, you know, Season 1, like I said, to me, it was the greatest thing Star Wars has ever done. It's not going to be as good, Arjona tells The Hollywood Reporter, but it's fucking better. It is so much better. What Tony Gilroy has crafted and created is mind-blowing. It's fucking better. It's so much better. What Tony has crafted and created is mind-blowing. Now, look. There will be a temptation to file this one under, understandably so, the heading of actress in show says her show is good. You know, headlines at 12. You know, obviously there's obviously an aspect of that you have to take seriously, right? An actor or an actress said the movie or the show they're in is great. Wow. Stop the presses. But every once in a while, when a comment gets made by an actor or an actress about, or even a director about something they have coming out, the way they say it strikes me as a little bit more true. And the way Arjona talks about this, there's an enthusiasm level. Jonathan Voico was pointing out, maybe it's just because there's more of Bix in Season 2 that she got so excited.
Like, this is the best season ever.
There's so much me.
Call it Bix and Andor. But there's something about the enthusiasm. Look, what Tony Gilroy did on Andor's remarkable, that he now gets to build on it. And by the way, this season is going to be quite different. It's going to be 12 episodes that spans 4 years. 12 episodes that spans 4 years. Not like this other Star Wars nonsense of 6 episodes and that kind of garbage. 12 episodes spanning 4 years, which is incredible. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am about this. It's off the chart for me. Anyway, Chris, I mean, yeah, actress says show they're in is good.
Yeah.
I get it. But how do you take her comments and her words here?
I'm excited about this show, and I think that it's promising that she's really into the second season. I like that she admits that usually the second season isn't as good. I think that's where this kind of story actually exists of, yeah, usually, you know, you read a script and go, well, it's going to be okay. First season was great. This will have the sophomore slump. So I do like that aspect of this. The only thing I could think, though, that would make the show better is it so much Andy Serkis now? Is it just so much Andy Serkis? Did he survive? Did he learn to swim? Oh, God. Because that's all I want. I want a whole show about him. Or honestly,
how
a lot
good was
more
he in
Bix.
that season?
He's incredible in that. He's so, so good. I love him in that show. And I love her in this, too. I think Bix is a fascinating character. For me, honestly, Andor is the one who I kind of am still the least interested in. I love all the supporting characters that pop up in his world, but I'm interested to see what else happens here.
You know, it's funny, too, because, like, that whole thing about her being tortured by the Empire, and like that was some of the most gut-wrenching, incredible. And by the way, Ben Mendelsohn is coming into Season 2 as
Krennic.
Director Krennic. I mean, come on, tell me that doesn't get you excited.
Love.
I love hearing about this, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? One of the stars of the series is saying, yeah, no, it's not as good as Season 1. It is so much better than Season 1. It's got my excitement level completely off the charts. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, Daredevil Born Again, they just dropped a trailer at D23. Most people saw it online. Everybody's really excited about it. But Charlie Cox, at a fan expo, I believe in Chicago, recently made a comment dropping hints that there are going to be a bunch of surprise cameos in this show, which has got everybody kind of speculating about what they could be. Now, just to get to the details, this is exactly what Charlie Cox said, talking about White Tiger and stuff like that too. He says, I remember getting those scripts, and the character that I'm thinking about in particular right now, I remember when I read that story before I started doing Daredevil in 2014, I always thought That was a really cool storyline and such an interesting character, such an interesting dynamic between the two of them. That was really fun. And I'm really excited about that. Now, here's where the big key little thing is. It almost gets missed. And there are a couple of other nice little cameos that come up. Bunch of nice little cameos. Now, look. The trailer, for those of you who saw it, to Daredevil season, or Daredevil Born Again, I should say, is fantastic. I mean, it seems like they really tried to go out of their way to make sure that this trailer felt like the Netflix Daredevil series. And if that was indeed what they were aiming for, frickin' bullseye. I mean, they got it. They nailed it. It felt like if you had just shown me that in a vacuum, and just like we didn't know Daredevil was going over to Disney or anything like that. If you had just showed me that trailer in a vacuum and said, oh, this is for Daredevil season 4, still on Netflix, I completely would have believed it. Yeah, by the way, no pun intended on the bullseye thing. Just no pun intended. So I totally would have believed you. If you said this is Daredevil season 4 on Netflix, totally would have bought into it. But again, if that's what they're going for, great. Disney does like doing their little cameos. I did not really think we would get any in Daredevil Born Again. But now that Charlie Cox has basically said, oh yeah, by the way, there are going to be some nice little cameos in there as well. Who could he be talking about? Now, I don't think it's going to be anybody Avengers level, right? I don't think Thor is going to show up in Daredevil. I don't think Doctor Strange, even though I think he's got a place right up the street. I don't think Doctor Strange. I don't think Spider-Man, even though he's got a place right up the street. I don't think Spider-Man shows up in here. I don't think War Machine or anything like that. My guess is that it will primarily focus around characters from the Netflix universe, with one exception. So, if I had to bet $1, and only $1, my first guess will be Mike Coulter has been playing coy, and Mike Coulter will pop up as Luke Cage. That's my first kind of guess, is that Luke Cage will pop up in there. Probably even more likely than that is Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones will probably pop up in there. Now, we already know that Karen and Foggy are there, so that's not the little surprise cameos. So I think it's going to focus mostly around that stuff. But the one exception that I think he could be talking about as far as a nice cameo that isn't somebody from the Netflix series, and it's not Wong, She-Hulk. I think Jennifer shows up. It would make sense. I mean, they clearly liked each other. They smashed uglies. He did the Walk of Shame, which is one of my favorite moments of television of all time. So I think maybe She-Hulk could be popping up in there too. Anyway, Chris, you hear Charlie Cox say, you know, yeah, we're doing this one thing with this one character, love it. Oh, by the way, there's some really nice little cameos too. Who do you think those cameos could be? Could they be larger level MCU figures? Could it be a Wong? I don't know. What do you think those cameos are going to be?
I think for sure we're getting Jessica Jones because Kristen Ritter was spotted on set back in, February of this year. She also posted pictures of her wearing her Jessica Jones t-shirt and all those kinds of things. So I feel like that was a, hey buddies, get ready. I'm going to be back on here. I do think Mike Coulter is probably playing coy. I really do. Because I think it just makes sense to bring those guys back because those were very beloved iterations of the characters. Sorry, Finn. There's still some problems with Iron Fist. I'm so sorry, buddy. I know so much of it wasn't your fault. I would love to have White Tiger in there. I think that'd be a really cool, especially the Hector iteration. I don't think we'd see him suited up or using his special amulet. I think it'd be just, hey, here's Hector, which would be a really cool way to bring him kind of in and see. And
of course, he is in the trailer.
Yes, yeah, and just have him like hanging out and doing stuff. But I don't think we'll see him be like the actual White Tiger at this point because I feel like that's a little too mystical for right now. I genuinely would love if he calls Jen for a little legal advice. I think that'd be perfect. And I also would love to see a Peter Parker on the streets of New York. I think it'd be really great to establish him as a New York superhero, again, a boots on this ground superhero, and maybe start setting up his work as a photographer for some kind of journalistic source. Again, probably not the not Daily Planet, Lord. Probably not for the Daily Bugle because of how JJ went. But I think it'd be really great to have a tiny moment of him doing kind of a, hey, taking pictures for some court case and just having a knowing moment with Matt, because Matt won't remember him, but he'll remember him. And just talking about like, you're a really good lawyer. Something like that I think would be a great little moment to throw in and would take almost none of Tom Holland's schedule.
Well, he would remember Peter. He just wouldn't remember Peter as Spider-Man.
But then MJ didn't remember Peter at all as Peter.
Oh, you know what? That's right. The way the thing worked at the end. 100%.
It'd be a really cute reversal if there was a quick reflex thing from Pete.
I think the safe bet is just Madison.
Can Madison and Wong have their show?
I'm
Please.
in for that. I am totally, again, the thing about the Madison thing was, I like everybody else in the world, I was so annoyed by that character when they first brought her on that this is irritating. By the end of it, I wanted more Madison and Wongers. More of it. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Everything you just said completely makes sense about why you would have a Peter Parker there.
Yeah.
Is there any reality that Tom Holland pops up in a Disney Plus series?
I don't know. Maybe he's bored.
Ah.
Listen, his Apple TV show didn't go over well. He hasn't had
No, it did
the
not. His
best
other
box
stuff hasn't
office
gone well.
trajectory. Maybe he has a nice, cushy little day where he gets to just pop in as Pete, boogie on out, and make tasty money.
Like Michael Keaton.
Like Michael Keaton.
Just he got paid, big fun.
Yeah.
Get on out.
Get on.
Didn't have to put on the costume. Didn't have to do anything.
I'm more concerned with how they handle Mute. That's my. I'm like, man.
How they handle who?
Isn't it Mute or no?
Oh
wait.
yeah.
Echo?
Yeah, no, not
No.
Echo.
Muse.
Muse.
Oh,
Yeah. Because Muse is fucking terrifying. Muse is terrifying.
Yeah.
That was like the idea, like if you had to come up with something that was still street level, that would force Daredevil and Kingpin to work together, you have to come up with something that is really a major threat, but again, not an Avengers level thing. Muse is such a great choice for this. I'm so excited about him.
Remember when everyone was worried about this getting like kitty-fied?
Yep.
And then they go that route? Dang.
Guys, listen, if you haven't read the storyline with Muse, and like Muse is like, what he does would make Joker go, damn. Like Muse is legit freaky. And I think it's going to make for some great stuff. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Charlie Cox is saying, yeah, we're going to have some pretty cool little cameos. Who do you think those are? Could they be people from the wider MCU? Could it be somebody like a Spider-Man? Will it be just exclusively people from the old Netflix series, or maybe not at all? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about, man, the major trades seem unified that Shogun is about to sweep up the Emmys in a couple of weeks. We're going to talk about that. And I had to double check reality. I fell out of my chair in shock. The Acolyte season 2 has been canceled.
What?
We're going to talk about that. I know. I hate to be the one to break it to you. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's trymiracle.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's go on to this, shall we? Shogun, certainly not to my surprise, is, according to the major trades, basically looking at sweeping up all the major drama Emmys at the upcoming Emmy Awards on September 15th, less than a month away, a little over 3 weeks away. And nobody in this room could be more happier about that than me. I freaking loved Shogun so much. It's one of those shows that came out that had me being that annoying person in the circles going, wait a minute, okay, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but have you guys watched Shogun yet? Because you need to be watching Shogun. I remember when they did that big Investors Day call, back when they announced that Fantastic Four and X-Men were coming and all that kind of stuff. The thing that got me most excited was they announced Shogun, and it turned out so much better than I could have possibly dreamed. And now, at least a couple of the major trades, IndieWire, Variety, they're basically saying Shogun, they're picking it, is going to sweep almost everything. So let's go over and look at this. Now, the one category that Shogun cannot sweep up in is Best Supporting Actress. They can't so they're not nominated in that one. So they're not going to win Best Supporting Actress. They're predicting Christine Baranski is going to win that for The Gilded Age, a show I have not yet watched. I hear good things about it, but I've not yet watched that show myself. But almost everything else, starting with Best Supporting Actor, Tadanobu Asano, who plays Kashigi in Shogun. Everybody started off super hating the guy because he boiled the other guy alive, but he was
Typically, that'll do it.
Yeah, taking a man and boiling them alive. Yeah, might make you paint him with a broad stroke, anyway, with a broad brush. But anyway, he was fabulous. Right up to his final scene with Toranaga on that hillside. He was so good in this show. So both IndieWire and several others are saying that Tadanobu is going to win that one. All right. So that's Best Supporting Actor. Directing. Frederick E.O. Toy is their call to win for Best Directing for Shogun, going against shows like Winning Time, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Slow Horses, Morning Show, and The Crown. In writing, they are predicting Shogun wins again, with Rachel Kondo and Justin Marks for that, who are also overseeing the development of Season 2. No surprise at all, Best Actor, Hiroyuki Sanada. And it's about time that Scorpion gets some damn respect put on his name. So this one's a no-brainer that he's going to take that. And then they're also saying Anna Sawai is going to take it as well for Best Actress. So they are calling, and obviously they're calling Shogun for Best Series. They've obviously, right here, they got Shogun. The other nominees are The Crown, Fallout, The Gilded Age, The Morning Show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Slow Horses, and Three Body Problem. I was very happy to see Three Body Problem get nominated. The show was great. But they got Shogun. So, aside from Best Supporting Actress, they're calling them to win Best Directing, Best Writing, Best Series, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor. The one difference, and these are over several of the things, the one difference, though, is in Variety, where Variety has somebody else winning Best Supporting Actor. Other than that, they also called almost all the same things for IndieWire. This is a show, guys, that I will take every opportunity that arises to talk about. I am still an evangelist for this series. Jonathan Voico has still not watched this show.
It's true. All of it.
It's true. All of it. Damn, man, you got to watch this show.
It's next.
It's so
It's really
good.
I had to get caught up on a lot of stuff that I just did not finish. And so
You've
now,
been spending a lot of your time lately getting caught up on stuff. Yeah. But I mean, the show is like so unbelievably and remarkably good, and I'm so stoked that it's going to have this kind of sex. Now, listen, the trades, the pundits, whatever, all the predictors, the prognosticators can often be wrong when awards time finally comes and the votes are tallied. But I honestly think we're going to see Shogun take a lot of whether they completely sweep or not, I don't know, but they're going to win a lot of these major awards. Anyway, Chris, you saw this. How do you feel about Shogun being kind of the pick to win in all these things? And where do you think they're most vulnerable out of all these particular categories?
Ooh, that is a great question. I don't know, because this is such a runaway hit. It's one of those things too where whenever you adapt material from a novel, it almost always is not as good as the original work, right? There's a lot of liberties taken. It just doesn't fire on all cylinders. There's people who can pick holes at stuff. Game of Thrones, as much as people who didn't read the books love those, the people who read the books constantly tell you how much better the books are, right?
Right.
Shogun is one of those things, because I started reading that book to get ready for this series. This series elevates the material in such a beautiful way, and yes, ands it, and does such a phenomenal job taking something that felt, to me, almost impossible to translate onto film properly in a beautiful, beautiful way. So much so that having a second season doesn't even seem that daunting to me, even though there's no more book. Man, I'm trying to think of where they've got weak points, though, because everyone is so killer in this. Potentially supporting actor, because that is a pretty stacked
It's
area.
a very, very stacked one, yeah.
I mean, all the nominees this year are really fire. We've had such a great year of television. I am still confused about the Emmys of what is a drama, what is a comedy. I feel like that is constantly being moved in a way
because
that makes
as good
no
as The
sense.
Bear is, it is
It's
not a comedy.
It's not a comedy. And it frustrates me each time, because Steve Martin and Martin Short are killing it every time they show up to do Only Murders in the Building. But how do you compare to The Bear when it's that kind of race, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we need to get back to those very specific categories. But other than that, I mean, I feel like they're just going to dominate this year. I feel like all these different trades are completely right that this is Shogun's year. It's the best show on television.
Sorry, go off on a side note just for a second.
Let's side quest.
Did you see the new trailer for Only Murders in the Building?
With
the new season?
movie adaptation?
With Eugene Levy.
Yes.
And so if you guys haven't seen the trailer for it yet, so the Only Murders in the Building podcast, according to the trailer, has become so popular that they want to make a movie out of it. And they got Zach Galifianakis, Eugene Levy, and from Housewives, Eva Longoria, all playing themselves. And they're going to be the stars of the movie. The trailer is so good. It's so good. I cannot wait to see it. And Eugene Levy continues. And by the way, Eugene Levy's now going to be hosting the Oscars with his son, Dan Levy. What's that?
Isn't it the Emmys he's hosting?
Did I say the Oscars?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me.
No
The
worries.
Emmys.
Yeah.
Dan and Eugene are going to be hosting the Emmys.
That's going to be so fun.
Which is going to be so good. Anyway, guys, and hopefully saying the word Shogun a lot. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Not only have I been thinking they're going to sweep up all the major awards, it sounds like most of the trades are now also agreeing with me. Which of the main categories do you think they could be weak on and maybe get surprised by? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. The Acolyte will not have a second season.
But it's going to sweep the Emmys.
It's going to sweep up next year's Emmys. 100%. To nobody's major surprise, a report came out of Deadline that said Lucasfilm had made the decision officially 1 month after The Acolyte finished its season, suggesting that it's done. No more Acolyte. And it's not surprising. Deadline wrote this. Driven by interest into the vulnerable space franchise, The Acolyte got off to a strong start when it launched on June 4th with 2 episodes, generating 4.8 million views in just its first day on the streamer, to rank as the biggest series premiere on Disney Plus this year. The tally rose to 11.1 million views globally after 5 days of streaming. Corroborating Disney's data, the series made its debut on Nielsen's Top 10 Originals chart in its premiere week at number 7, 488 million minutes viewed, climbing to number 6 the following week. But that's when the wheels came off. But The Acolyte could not sustain the momentum. dropping out of the top 10 in week 3 and staying out of the top 10 before returning at number 10 on the release of the finale, believed to be the lowest viewed Star Wars finale. How I feel about this is not terribly surprising. By the way, some people seem happy that the Acolyte, the Batman is definitely happy.
Yeah, in particular.
That the Acolyte got canceled. I don't understand why you'd be happy it canceled. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd be happy that somebody else, that show that somebody else might get canceled.
Why don't you want me to see Manny Jacinto more? Why do you want me to be unhappy?
Yeah.
He's Sith Bay.
He is Sith Bay. Stop making the Sith so sexy. Evil is so sexy in Star Wars.
Batman continues his celebration by putting in another $50
Damn.
badge just to celebrate the demise. To celebrate the demise of the Acolyte. Now look. The Acolyte was one of those shows that got announced on the same day at the same event that Shogun got announced. And I was so excited for the Acolyte. The whole concept of it, you had the showrunner and the director of Russian Dolls, which I loved. And I had to get in there. I had to see this thing. I was very excited about it. Trailers weren't so good. That's all right. I've seen great shows and great movies that didn't have great trailers. And the first couple of episodes, I'm on the fence. But even though there was a lot of crappy stuff in there, there was also stuff that showed promise. I'm like, okay, there's things here that show some promise. But that was it. After that, the rest of the episodes that I did watch completely disappointed me. I'm not speaking for anybody else, but they disappointed me. And then I eventually tapped out. I couldn't finish the series because I don't hate watch things, right? I don't like to hate watch, and I don't like to dance on the grave of things that failed. But after the show completed its run, there were pockets of fandom out there that came out supporting the show. That there are people out there who enjoyed the Acolyte. And that's great. That's the beautiful thing about the art of entertainment, right? It's all subjective. All entertainment hits us in different ways. And there were some people out there who, when they watched the Acolyte, it hit them the right way and they enjoyed it. And that's fantastic. That's the great thing about the art. It did not do that for me, but it is what it is. So the real big telling thing, though, is that unlike, say, WandaVision, which week after week after week, viewership went up and up and up because word of mouth got out about how good this show was and more people started tuning in. The Acolyte declined and declined and declined. And then a lot of people tuned in to check out the finale, but even with the finale, they could only get into the number 10 spot. So it really comes as no surprise that there was no place left for this show to go. It did not feel like... Here's the thing. You watch Shogun, you watch House of the Dragon, you watch The Last of Us, you watch Succession. All these shows felt like they're shot cinematically. They feel like these could be legitimately on the big screen. They feel that you feel that high production value. Never got that with Acolyte. To be honest, never really got that with any of the Star Wars shows too terribly much. Even The Mandalorian, like you could really start to feel the volume. That's the name of their virtual reality dome thing. You could really start to feel the voluminous of that show a lot. But The Acolyte never felt like a big production. It never felt like it was high value production. It never felt cinematic, which even if it's on TV, like I'll tell you what, that Skeleton Crew trailer looked way more cinematic.
Yeah.
Way more cinematic than anything that we saw in The Acolyte. So with the declining viewership, the questionable quality, the seemingly it had nowhere to go, I'm really not surprised that this thing got the axe. Were you about to say something, Jonathan?
They said, but up.
Yeah, nowhere to go. Nowhere to go but up. I know, Chris, you got the news.
Yeah.
How surprised or not surprised were you when the official word came out that they pulled the plug on this thing?
Oh, not surprised, because people did not respond well to this show. I did complete it, and I'm not one of the people who absolutely abhors it, but I also don't think it's great. I
Right.
think there's a lot of missteps, especially when you're pitching something. I was talking to Ray about this earlier before the show started. When you're pitching something as a mystery thriller, it needs to be mysterious, and I need to be fucking thrilled, okay? Like, I can't have, yeah, so quickly in the show. And I'm married to Logan, who suspends his disbelief for everything. You guys know the joke. He always thinks Moana maybe isn't going to make it. He even went, oh, hey, is that? And I went, yeah. So he figured out what was going on in this show. Mr. Disbelief absolutely figured out this show. I think it had good moments. I think, again, Manny is killer in this show. And because of that time jump, it's such a shame, because I don't know how you bring that character into anything else.
Yeah.
Because he's wonderful. And at the end, we finally got some things where it felt like we were starting to cook. Of, oh my gosh, this fight choreography is insane.
That's the one thing I will say for
It's so
all the
good.
episodes I watched. I will give its flowers. The fight choreography was fantastic.
Yeah.
I will absolutely. I hated the show, but I will absolutely give it its flowers. Every time there was fights going on, I was
So
engaged. The fight choreography was great.
When it was firing on all cylinders, it was John Woo does Star Wars, which is all I want. I think that'd be amazing. And it was so disappointing that this didn't hit those marks. Again, I just feel like they had this story that they thought was really interesting and mysterious, but instead it just felt kind of like Star Wars fan fiction that somebody put together, and not particularly effective fan fiction. It doesn't come as a surprise. I'm really bummed for this cast, though, because I know they wanted to keep going and to keep telling these stories. And again, I feel like they started making a little bit of momentum for those of us who held out to the end, but it was just a little too late.
I was about to say, I also really enjoyed the performances of everybody in it.
Yes.
Except there's one.
Oh, who do you not like?
And I don't know if it's their fault or the direction or the script of the character. The main Jedi back on Coruscant.
Oh.
The boss Jedi.
Yeah.
Terrible. Just a terrible character. And I know she's from Russian Dolls as well. Which, again, guys, if any of you have not watched Russian Dolls,
So good.
and if any of you are dumb enough to buy into this stupid thing of like, oh, Headland, she can't direct. Yes, she fucking can. You're sticking your head in the sand. Just go watch Russian Dolls and then tell me with a straight face that you don't think she knows how to direct. Because yes, she fucking can. What happened with the Acolyte, I don't know. This was their bad day at the office. But I mean, yeah, I thought that character was just terrible.
Vanestra just felt off. And it felt like, okay, is this part of a Jedi
That was the
cover-up?
name of the character, Vanestra, yeah.
And it was, especially, again, when we get to the end and you see Master Yoda and all this stuff, it's okay. So, oh, well, no, you could bring Manny back because Yoda's there. Maybe he can age like Yoda. Anyway, you have this kind of conspiratorial plot that's happening maybe too, because we have in the prequels people talking about, we haven't dealt with Sith in so long, we haven't done this in so long. So this could have been part of another big cover-up, and that story could have been so interesting. But we got to it too late. And Vanessa just seemed, I don't know, like she's in on it or shady, or I didn't get her.
You know, it reminded me of when you find out that, what's this for Manny? When you find out that Manny is the Sith Lord, it's like, it reminded me a lot of like when he finds out that you have a sister and Luke figures out Leia's my sister, and Obi-Wan says, your insights serve you well. Well, that, and she's the only female character in the movie franchise.
Right?
I mean, so like Manny being the Sith Lord is like,
Who
there's
could it
no one
be?
else here.
Also, I mean, if you were watching The Good Place, you've seen those arms for years, okay? There's
Manny glow
there's no
up.
denying that those are his biceps.
Yeah, but oh my God. It's
Manny
like,
glow up.
I
Manny
love the
glow
way you
up.
put that. If you're going to be a mystery thriller, you got to feel mysterious and you have to be thrilling. And it was neither. And I don't know what was going on with those. The witch coven that worships Dr. Zeus. We, the one of two, the two of three, and the count starts laughing. Ha ha ha. Like, I just look again. All respect to people there are people out there who like the show, and that's great. I am not trying to rain on your parade whatsoever. It's just that for me, the show was a big miss. And with the declining viewership and all that kind of stuff, it's no real surprise here at all that this thing got canceled. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Acolyte will not be getting a season 2. You know what? There's a question somebody raised saying, why did they have to kind of let it be public knowledge that they canceled this and they didn't with Obi-Wan? I think I didn't like Obi-Wan either.
No.
But it had more fans than the Acolyte did. And I think there's probably still ongoing discussions and pondering about whether or not they will. I think they just knew, you know what? Instead of letting people speculate, instead of letting this narrative continue to drag on, let's just put it out there that the show's dead and let it die. And maybe that was the right move. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, we're now going to move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a second to thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Hungryroot. We want to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Hungryroot. Guys, you know me, I like things that make my life easier, especially things that make it easier for me to eat healthy and eat well, and certainly more effectively than trying to order from food delivery services. Hungryroot is the easiest way to eat healthy. They send you fresh, high-quality groceries, simple, delicious recipes, and essential supplements. It's like having someone else do all the planning and shopping so you don't even have to think about it. Hungryroot gets to know your personal health goals, dietary restrictions, favorite foods, how much time you want to spend cooking, and more. Then they build you a personalized cart with all your grocery needs for the week, including easy 4-ingredient recipes to put those groceries to use. Each order is fully customizable so you can take their suggestions or choose anything you want. They've got fresh produce, high quality meat and seafood, healthy snacks, smoothies, sweets, ready to eat meals, kid snacks and meals, vitamins and supplements, and much more. Everything from Hungryroot follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole, trusted ingredients. Right now, Hungryroot is offering the John Campea Show listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/Campea to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/Campea. Don't forget to use our link so that they know we sent you. And thank you to our friends at Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to the important stuff, your comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Well, we got Peter Parker.
Not on set of Daredevil.
Yeah, no, he's here. Some people criticize the characters in Alien Romulus as dumb, but I think this might be due to biases against younger characters. Do people automatically assume all young characters are lobotomized, LOL, or do you think that argument has merit?
No, I don't. I really, really don't. What they did a good job in Alien Romulus of setting up that these are young people who are desperate. They're young people who are desperate. They're basically living in bondage on a place that will probably end up killing them.
Yep.
The one character just thought she fulfilled her contract, and they just said, no, you got another 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that was like so quick for her to get done.
Didn't they do that like in Andor too? That he thought he had they got their time done and they reset their time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, so these are kids, for all intents and purposes, who are fundamentally desperate, that will do anything and make decisions that maybe a rational, normal person under regular circumstances certainly would never do. But they're basically living in indentured servitude to this corporation on this planet that is killing them
And the main
and killed their
character-
families.
And the main character had witnessed her own mother go through that and
Yep.
die, and same thing she's doing.
So desperate characters will do desperate things, and desperate actions often look like unwise actions. And so, yeah, I don't personally, and it's all art, it's all interpretive. I don't believe that complaint has any merit. That me personally. All right, what's next?
Logan says, Inside Out 2 is getting closer to being #1. It's like 36 million off.
Yeah, I still don't know that it's going to catch it.
I know, but it's going to threaten.
I mean, it'd be awesome if it did, but it's just, it's literally now making single digits a week, and it's got 35 million
Yeah.
to go. I just don't know that it's going to get there, but if it does, that would be awesome.
Be very
All right,
exciting.
what's next?
Okay, I gotta scroll up here. I think Entertainer. Hello, John and crew. Last night I went to go see Alien Romulus. However, I was disappointed to see 8 people leave the room before the 20 minutes and not come back. Interesting.
wow.
I'm guessing they've never seen an Alien movie before, as the action starts midway or after. What do they think? It was just going to be like bing, bang, boom right in the beginning?
Yeah, listen, I've been in a lot of movies where groups of people leave. Sometimes it's obvious why they're leaving, and sometimes it's like, why are they leaving? Maybe something came up. Don't know.
Yeah.
It'll happen. But all I know is this. This $80 million budget film made $108 million in its first weekend. For a franchise that a lot of us thought was a completely dead franchise. And it took the #1 spot at the box office. And it's got in the mid-80s of both critic and audience scores. The mid to high 80s for the audience scores. It's a wonderful little film. But listen, not all movies are for everybody. And there could have been one of a million different reasons why different people decided to leave.
I mean, yeah, for all we know, they literally just caught the first 20 minutes before their actual movie started.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
maybe they were there to see Deadpool.
Yeah, and they were just
and they
sitting
had
in
time
there
to
and
kill, so they snuck in. I
Yeah.
mean, who knows? By the way, I should mention, sometimes if you want to throw a party, I know we had Anne's big birthday bash a little while ago, Ray. Remember that?
Yep.
So you spent a little bit of money on it. Spent some money on having a big party.
Right.
Well, our channel member, the Batman, decided he wanted to throw an Acolyte's dead party
Yeah.
and is like put in like almost $200 in super chat badges just to celebrate the demise. Hey man, if you're going to throw a party, throw it big.
Yep.
All right. What's next?
All right. Gareth Gretsch says, "Hey John, been listening to you since 2013.
Oh, thank you, man.
All the way from the UK, and share the love for Man of Steel. I wanted to ask if you have ever seen an Australian TV series called Mr. In Between, directed by Nash Edgerton, brother of Joel. I highly recommend it."
No, but I've had the Mr. In Between pop up in my recommendations a couple of times. And I've always looked at it, I thought that kind of looks like my kind of show, but I've never really heard anybody talk about it. So I have not watched it. I'm aware of it, and I always thought it looked good, but maybe I should add that to my queue here pretty soon. All right, thanks for the recommendation, man. I appreciate it. All right, what's next?
Classic Dragon says, "Hi John, I stream my films. However, I recently enjoyed a 1991 Martin short comedy, Pure Luck.
Oh my God.
I forgot
With
about that movie. And he gets stung by the bee.
wait,
And he swells up.
the guy with Mel Gibson in the Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah,
Danny Glover?
Danny Glover.
Yeah, Glover.
Oh God, I
Anyway.
love that movie.
Dude, I saw that in the theaters, and that was the only time I've ever seen it. From my dad's DVD collection, fun film. It made me feel physical is still vital in 2024. People can't find this, and many films using streaming services. That is true for a lot of titles.
Yeah.
First of all, Pure Luck
Dude,
is a fun little film.
completely forgot about that.
One of the
movie.
stupidest premises ever. Like one of the absolute dumbest. But you're right. That bee sting scene is gut-bustingly funny. Look, what you will never hear me argue against are the merits of physical media. I have never said, nor will I ever say, that physical media should go away. Because there are just too many merits to it, like one of the ones you just brought up. My argument has always just been it is going away. Like whether it should or not, that's a separate discussion. That's a separate debate. Whether it should go away is another discussion. That it is going away is not up for debate. It is. The world's biggest physical media proponent, Robert Meyer Burnett, will be the first one to tell you, oh, like no matter how much we dislike it, it is going away. Faster and faster every year, physical media and its relevance is disappearing. And whenever we bring that up, people want to launch into a discussion about, they want to make it a debate about whether it should go away. I'm not debating about whether it should go away. It is going away. And that's a tough part. But yeah, I mean, I think physical media could continue to play an important part if they somehow, some way finds a way to stick around. All right, what's next?
Jay Newby says, no spoiler ahead. To fill the void that House of D has left in my heart, I started watching Thrones, and that little bastard Joffrey totally spoils House of the Dragon. He tells Marjorie,
yeah.
this is where blah lies after blah. Can't wait for him to die again.
Yep. Now, at the time, you have to remember, well, there's a couple things to keep in mind. At the time when they were making Game of Thrones, I don't think they ever really suspected they were going to make House of the Dragon. But also remember, I keep forgetting the guy's name. He was Stannis Baratheon's hand. He was the one who was all mad at the killing of the daughter.
Yeah, Davos.
There's an episode where Sir Davos basically explains the Dance of the Dragons.
It's all history. It's all been written.
Yeah, but I don't think they knew at the time that they would eventually make
No.
a House of the Dragon. But also, this was another important thing. While it may or may not be completely in line with what is in the books, just because Joffrey said it doesn't mean he's right.
Histories could be skewed.
Histories, especially when it's only passed down verbally, histories can be skewed, and Joffrey doesn't strike me as the type of kid who was a very good student. So
Loves
they
crossbows.
may take, and remember, House of the Dragon has already taken significant liberties with what's in the books. And they could continue to take significant liberties, including how so-and-so killed so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. So that could happen as well. So I'm just saying, just because Joffrey said it, doesn't mean that's what they're going to do. All right, what's next?
Old Man Rook says, did Borderlands even cover Jamie Lee and Kevin Hart's paychecks? No.
My guess is no.
Yeah. They shot this pre her Academy Award, right? They shot it a long time ago, right?
They finished shooting it 3 years ago.
So it was pre that, but her and Kevin Hart's, no. 18 million? That's like 9 million a pop.
Well, it certainly didn't cover the marketing costs.
No.
I'm not sure it would have covered Chris Carr's.
Yeah. And her scene was cut.
And my scene was
Her
cut
scene was
because I'm always
cut.
pet. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Thank you, Mark W, for the gifted membership.
Thank you, Mark W.
We got Noonan says, I missed the answer last time I asked this. How does the money a theater brings in get to a studio? Is there a direct deposit or some other system? How do they avoid a theater owner from skimming? A recent watch of Casino made me think of this. Yeah, they just threaten them with baseball bats. And
There's an entire video I made about how box office works. There is actually a third-party organization and company that tracks the data and collects all the data from the movie studio, from the theaters, and reports directly. And it's all very, very, very tightly done up. It's very, very a secure system. And then basically what happens is that the movie theaters, depending on which movie it is, they take a certain percentage of whatever the ticket value is and remit it. Different movies and different agreements and different contracts will have different amounts, but it usually averages out to about 1/3. And then they just remit that. Now, whether it's done through that third party, which it might be, I can't remember the name of the company. I'll look up my video on it. But yeah, so it's all very tightly governed. They have and by the way, this same third-party organization oversees not just the theaters in America, it sees global theaters as well. So yeah, they keep a pretty tight lid on that. All right, what's next?
Vatzel says, I know the Secret Wars comics end with a New 52-esque ending merging the Ultimates world with 616, but what do you think would be a better ending? Leave the multiverse as is, or merge all reality into 616, or keep 2 Earths? Maybe you just have the timeline, right? The what do they call it?
The sacred timeline?
Sacred timeline.
There, depending on who you ask, you'll get different answers. You've asked me, so I will give you my answer. End the fucking multiverse. Multiverse is stupid. They need to get rid of it. One of my favorite scenes in Deadpool's Wolverine is when Deadpool goes off on Marvel's use of multiverse. They definitely got to get rid of it. So the best result to me is it closing off the multiverse. Now, you need multiverse to do a story like Secret Wars. And hopefully, through all the nonsense, multiversal nonsense we've gotten so far, it'll pay off big in Doomsday and Secret Wars. But once you do that, it's time to put it to bed and move on. I don't know, Chris, like, how have you felt about the whole multiverse aspect of it so far? And where do you think they should go with it after Endgame?
I mean, in the comics, I like the multiverse. I just don't like it so much in film. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't mind it in comic books either. Yeah.
Because you have to, there's so much wait time and build up for another film, and if it doesn't connect, it's like, well, what are we wasting our time with all the storylines?
And I just get to kind of like find all the issues too, and be like, oh, this connects to this, and now I'm reading this comic, and this is fun, and da da da.
Yeah.
I feel like the big thing too is we just haven't done it in a way that has made the stakes there. Like they did it so well with Gamora, right? That alternate Gamora situation that they did is a great example of how you can have multiverse personas and still feel loss. Like, that was really well done. I feel like we're at a point where having variants or different timelines or different situations happening doesn't feel like it's got that weight, because now people are constantly getting resurrected. Lord, oh my gosh. I don't know. It's I
think
love time travel too. I just don't think it's working for them.
Yeah, where it's good, it's been fun, but but as a saga, so the Infinity Saga, Multiverse Saga, I don't think it's worked as a saga.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
All right, what's next?
Jamesy Boy says, "Hey, John and the Moo Crew, that's Movie Crew, long time, first time. Watched Long Legs last night. Noticed AMC ran what I thought was a replacement of the Nicole K ad for the first time, but alas, they remixed and still played the old one. Have a great day."
Yeah,
nowhere, baby.
They have several versions of the same spot. I don't even have it in the human language to express how fucking sick I am of that spot. Like you just, and you know, I keep forgetting that it's still coming.
That's why they keep playing it.
Just sat through 30 minutes of trailers. Oh, and now the AMC's got that dance one with
Coca-Cola.
the guy and the girl.
Coca-Cola.
We do the dance off together, and then we're racing cars together.
And then it's and then it's like the Notebook.
Yeah, it feels like it's 5 minutes long. It's probably only a minute.
It's a Coca-Cola commercial.
It's a Coca-Cola commercial. And Get Candy's like, oh, okay, now we've gone through all the trailers. Then we go through Don't Talk, Don't Text, Don't Ruin the Movie.
And
okay?
don't forget.
And then this rom-com thing of, oh, they're bonding over Coca-Cola.
Yes.
And then, okay, now can you start the fucking movie?
No.
And I'm always ready at that point. And then we come to this place.
Not
and I'm like,
quite,
fuck.
What else?
No, because if you see it IMAX or if you see it in Dolby, you also have their ad.
Oh, their promo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the big sun.
Like, I love Sean Levy.
Those like
But
4
I've
ads.
now seen that. I love doing my movies in Dolby Atmos. I've seen that thing like 12 times already.
Yeah, I love watching them in Dolby Atmos. Play it.
So now you got like 30 minutes of trailers. You got the Don't Talk, Don't Text, Don't Web spot. You've
drop, and
got
roll.
the rom-com Coke commercial. You got the Nicole Kidman thing. And if you are watching a movie in a Dolby Prime, which you should be, or in an IMAX, because they'll have their own different one.
IMAX countdown.
The IMAX countdown, or if you're watching in Dolby now, you get the big Sean Levy intro. And it's like, guys, you want to know why you're having a hard time getting people back to the movie theater? Fucking wake up! You want to know why you're having a hard time getting people back to movie theater? I don't know. Maybe people paid $30 to come out to see a movie, and instead of getting a movie, you are forcing them to sit through this nonsense shit that nobody wants to see. Okay, so anyway.
They should put it in the middle of the movie so people could take a piss. So people could pee,
I mean,
at
honestly,
least.
Integrate the idea of having an
laugh.
intermission again and then show your little stupid spots. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Suthia says, I'm hoping to see the 3 main King councilmen again. Just recast them if possible. Instead of taking out a hero at the beginning of Doomsday or Secret Wars, perhaps we can see Doom take out to establish the level of threat that Doom can be.
Here's the problem.
But Ant-Man did that. So
Yeah, here's the problem. Woo, Doom took out a guy that Ant-Man took out. I mean, that's the big problem with Kang. Even before the legal problems with Jonathan Majors, forget the legal problems with Jonathan Majors. They already had a Kang problem. Nobody cared about him after Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. You literally had 2 full seasons of Loki and a movie, and you did not make any of us at once feel like, oh, this is a big scary guy. He literally gets punched out by Ant-Man. I mean, so having Doom take out Kangs, it's you might as well have Doom take out Happy Hogan. It'll have about the same amount of effect.
How dare you?
How dare you? Anyway. All right, what's next?
Chuck's Cantina says, hello there. I'm sure you and every other podcast, including mine, are all tired of being asked this, but with the recent news of the Acolyte, has there been an update from sources of Kathleen Kennedy leaving? I respect her career, but how much longer can Iger do nada?
Look, I honestly don't know. And anything that I would get told now, I wouldn't believe anymore, because I got told that she was going to be gone by the end of 2023. I got told that in no uncertain terms. And that clearly didn't happen. So even if I am getting more information, I ain't going to share it or talk about it because it's been wrong. I do think it was interesting that Kathleen Kennedy did not show up at CinemaCon, nor at Comic-Con, nor, well, she was at D23, but not for the big presentation. They didn't wheel her out there for the big presentation. So whether that means something, I don't know.
Has
But
she been to any Elton John concerts? 'Cause that could be
they're going to shapeck her.
Shapecker.
All right, what's next?
All right. UK's Independent. Whoa, with a $50 super
Wow,
chat.
thank you, dude. Appreciate that, man.
Hi, John and crew. Followed since just before COVID and watch every evening from the UK. Film start times. We always start the film at the advertised time. We run the ad trailers beforehand. Local customers love it, but it always throws tourists out.
I feel like I'm about to become that internet meme guy. That's how it should be done.
It's time to go to the UK.
That is how it should be done.
Exactly.
If you say a movie starts at 8, it is not unreasonable for me to expect a movie to start at 8.
And if you want to watch the trailers, you decide to go earlier.
It's up to
Yeah,
you.
it
You
should
want to
be your
watch
choice.
trailers?
Should
Come
be your
on in
choice.
20 minutes early. We'll start a pre-show 20 minutes before
Yeah,
showtime.
play 20 trailers before it. As long as it starts
Yep.
when it should start. UK knows how to do it.
That one.
All right, what's next?
Dark Knight says, hey, John, big fan. How fast does the studio wave the white flag and dump Borderlands to streaming?
Oh, I think it's already been announced. I think it's coming to streaming in like a week and a half. I think I heard that they're dropping in like August 30th or something.
Well, let me check on that.
Yeah, check on that. But yeah, I think they gave up real fast and they're gonna dump it on streaming. Again, another bad decision because again, you're just conditioning the audience now by dumping it on streaming this fast. You're just conditioning the
Yep, you're
audience. It is August
30th.
30th. You're just conditioning the audience to not bother going to the movies anymore. Like when you keep doing this, you are conditioning the audience to stop going to the place that makes your studio the vast majority of its money. It's stupid. It's really, really dumb. All right, what's next?
Forbidden with a $20 super chat. With
Thank you, Forbidden.
today's climate of Star Wars fandom, and I'm guilty of this too, but I draw the line when it comes to child actors, so a bit concerned with how Skeleton Crew will be received. Social media wasn't even a huge thing when Jake Lloyd was a kid. Then it is now.
I'm going to say this. As awful and cancerous and toxic and vile that certain dark corners of the Star Wars fandom can be, I'm going to believe the best of humanity here, and maybe I'm being naive, and guess that all of us learned a lesson from what happened with the prequels and what happened with Jake Lloyd and what happened with, why am I freezing on the name of the actor who played Jar Jar?
Oh boy.
I was just talking about him the
Riz.
other day.
Ahmed Best.
Ahmed Best.
Sorry.
You're going to say Riz Ahmed, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you had Ahmed in your head. Ahmed Best. I think most people learned a lesson from that. And I'm going to hope. Now, personally, I think Skeleton Crew looks magical. I cannot wait. But if it goes south, I'm going to believe that most people will, number one, avoid directly criticizing the children. And also most people will, if they see others attacking children, will do something about it.
Right.
So I think it's not going to be as bad because I think we learned a lesson from that.
Oh.
All right, what's next?
Tony P says, do you think it's worse to be a high-profile bomb like Borderlands or to be Harold and the Purple Crayon, which nobody's really talking about? By the way, Harold made $20 million, $2 million more than Borderlands. Yeah.
Wow.
Here's the thing.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
I didn't even know about that movie until I went into the theaters to see a different movie and I saw the poster on the wall. It's like, opening today? What? And isn't that Shazam Boy
Yeah.
Yeah.
in there?
Moving on up, baby.
He's Gucci. Don't worry.
Chuck is in there?
Yeah, shut.
Yeah, I mean, between that and the Ryan's World movie, which made, I don't know if you heard about this, Chris.
No.
You know the YouTube megastar, like richest kid on YouTube,
That trailer
Ryan's
is
World?
awful,
No.
by
The
way.
little kid who does like the toy unboxings?
I'm like chronically offline, you guys.
Oh, he
I don't
makes, like,
know
a-
any other
He
people.
is
I don't
an
know any
older kid.
shows.
He makes like $50 to $100 million a year.
Dang, good for you, kid.
Anyway, they made a movie about him.
Okay.
Made $400,000 in the opening weekend.
You know how much that would do in the Philippines, which is, I think he's Filipino.
I don't think he's from the Philippines.
Oh,
He might be, though. Here's the thing. He could have done a 1-minute YouTube short and probably made more money than
Probably.
that.
Than a
Anyway,
feature
I mean, he
film.
could have just put some of his money in a savings account. And interest
Justin
would have been-
Villegas in the
High-yield
live
savings
chat
account. That's
Yeah.
what you need to do.
is saying Ryan's World looks like he's 30 in the trailer. Yeah, he's getting older. He's getting older. All right, what's next?
Right. Yeah, he's not Filipino. I thought he was Filipino.
Oh, he's not Filipino. Okay, I thought I remember hearing he was Filipino too. All right, what's next?
Ray Kwasi Kong says, I want to see a Predator movie set in the Yautja's home planet. Make it be about a non-warrior down on his luck, Yautja, who's just trying to make ends meet. I always do think about that. It's like, what about the nice Predators?
No, but what about the ones who are like plumbers,
And like married and have kids.
Exactly.
accountants?
They're not all warrior class.
You know, starship maintenance.
Someone had to
people.
figure out
Oh
how
my
to make
gosh.
spaceships to travel to places.
That's
I mean,
right.
We take the idea of kindergarten cop.
What
We
about the-
change it to preschool predator.
There you go.
Wait, no, that phrase doesn't make
Preschool
sense.
Predator.
That phrase is bad.
Preschool Predator. That's a different movie, Ray.
That's what I
Preschool
said
Predator.
first. That's my fault. That's my fault.
Oh, that's your fault?
Yeah.
Predator preschool? No, still bad. Still bad.
Right. Preschool predator.
No.
How about
Come
just
on
like
out.
No.
Part of your
Oh my
TGIF
god.
lineup.
Cinnamon Toast Ken is going to do reaction videos
Yeah.
to it. Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about just like Predanerds?
Predator nerds.
Nerds. That's great.
Predator nerds.
There you
That's
go.
great. There you
Predanerds.
go. Oh my gosh.
All right.
I got canceled so quickly today. Lord.
Preschool predator.
Oh, God.
Predator.
From
the worst
Chris
type of
Carr.
predator.
Oh no.
The scummy of all predators.
No.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, did you see the new Collider article about 28 years later, which released in theaters next June, or releases next June? Well, a sequel begins filming this week, 28 years later. The Bone Temple is the working title and may also release in 2025. So a sequel to 28 years later? Or what are they?
No, I believe this is not new news.
Yeah,
I believe
'cause-
it's always been the thing that they were doing 2 films. The one was going to direct one.
Right.
The other was going to direct the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Much like the way Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson were supposed to do, what's the animated film they did?
Oh, Tintin?
Tintin. They were supposed to do one and they're supposed to do the other.
And they didn't,
So apparently
to
they're doing that.
disappoint
So that's, I mean, Bone Temple,
Boom.
that's a new thing, but that overall story about that's not new. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do with that. All right,
Okay.
what's next?
And then Kyle's is actually this anonymous. It's just a repeat. Murray Reich says, it's a shame. It's such a shame because the Acolyte and Paper had so much potential. Terrible dialogue, story all over the place, plot holes, poor character decisions. I gave it a whole season week to week, and it was just painful to watch. Where did 180 million budget go?
You know, that's one of the things. Like when I heard about how expensive the series was, I don't see it. Like there are terrible. Take Independence Day 2, the one they did without Will Smith, right?
Please take it far
Somebody
away.
take it.
Yeah.
Take it
But-
where?
May Whitman dodged a bullet.
take it.
It's terrible.
Bad. So bad.
It's awful. But when I watch the movie, I can see the dollars on the screen. It's a terrible movie. It's awful, but I can see the dollars on the screen. I just don't see the dollars on the screen in Acolyte. I don't know what they thought cost so much. Like, was the guy from Squid Game just that expensive? He was really good in the show, by the way.
He was excellent.
Like, with all the problems with that show, he wasn't one of them. But yeah, I mean, and again, you're right. In theory and on paper, much like to me the way the Star Wars prequels are, in theory and on paper, it could work. This is a show that could have been really good, but like just terrible execution. Terrible execution. All right, what's next?
Daniel says, hi, John and crew. Love the Fantastic Four discussions. I myself think this won't be a regular standard hero MCU action film, but more of a Meet the Robinsons type fantasy adventure type story. What are your thoughts? Hope to see you all at LA Comic-Con.
When is LA Comic-Con?
I don't know.
I looked it up. I thought it was October.
Yeah, I think
Oh, weren't you going to look up how much a
October
booth
4th, 5th,
cost?
and
Yeah, I did. Remember
did?
I told you like the artist booth is like $495.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be allowed to get an artist
Yeah.
booth.
I know, but that would be the range probably what you're
Like about $500?
because that's the only one that I could actually pinpoint a specific.
If it's
price.
not already booked.
Let's see if we, you know what? I have a feeling it's probably not already booked, but maybe we can see if we can book what do you call it?
Book of Boba Fett.
a booth.
A booth. Maybe we
Yeah,
can
and then I'll
signing
bring a
area?
barbecue
That'd
and
be
we can just
fun.
have dinner there.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
there
think
you
they'll
There
let
we
us
go.
barbecue
Yeah,
Perfect.
in the convention center.
It's the adobo booth.
They'll
Come
let
on.
Ray. They'll let Ray.
We'll put a glass thing and we'll just pretend we're not even there.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that's like John Campea Show.
I don't get the sense that Fantastic Four, like from the fake trailer they made, I don't get a sense that Fantastic Four is going to be terribly unlike the Marvel formula. And I don't mean Marvel formula in a bad way. Marvel formula works. So I don't know that's going to go that outside the thing, but you never know. Well, we'll see how that goes. Matt Shackman's doing it though. And whenever I say that, I just think of that.
Shat.
Yeah.
Matt Shat.
Matt Shat. You married a Kennedy and you put a shat on it. One of the funniest Saturday Night Live sketches ever. You're standing here with God's mistress. Oh my
Wearing
God.
Crocs.
Wearing Crocs with socks. One of the best sketches ever. I can't remember what we were talking about.
Oh, well, they'll tell you right now.
Answer it.
Sorry.
After live. on
Answer it
film.
live.
Had my phone on because of a doctor's appointment. What was the question?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't think they're going to go that way. Well, I think it's going to be more of a traditional Marvel movie. We'll find out.
Wow.
All right, what's next?
Anthony R says, I hope Lucasfilm doesn't take the wrong lesson from canceling the Acolyte and resort to more nostalgic stories. Knights of the Old Republic, both comics and games, proved you can tell fantastic magical stories outside of the Skywalkers. And he goes on to say, it's just sad that game and comic writers can do better stories than so-called Hollywood professionals. And before,
No, they can't, by the way. No, they
Yeah.
can't.
And before you say Andor, yes, I know it's stellar writing, but Knights of the Old Republic 2 came first. Don't discount it because it's not live action.
100% I'll discount it because it's not live action.
Dang.
Well, guys, listen, it's the writers themselves will tell you this. It's different. Writing for a game is different than writing for a narrative live action show or movie. It's a different thing altogether. And just because something works in a book or something works in a comic book or something works in a video game, that people who don't write then just think, oh, then that just means they can do this. And it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. Right? Coming up with a good story is one thing. Having a good story is only 1/10 of the process. Coming up with your story idea and your 2-page outline of what your story is, that's important. It's important. But there are lots of horrible movies and TV shows that probably had great 2-page story outlines and they got totally butchered in the putting it all together. It's a different beast. Don't compare them. I'm not saying one's more important than the other. I'm just saying they're different. And just because you come up with a good story for a comic book or a video game or something like that does not mean you also have the skill to now sit down and flesh out a 125-page screenplay properly formatted in a narrative format It's a different thing. It's not the same. It's 100% not the same. So you can take like the Old Republic. It does not mean it'll translate well. Doesn't mean it can't. 100% does not mean it can't. The lessons that Lucasfilm should take away from this is not that, A, you need to make something in the Skywalker era for it to work. That's not true. B, you have to make stuff outside of the Skywalker era for it to work. That's not true either. None of it matters. It doesn't matter when you set a Star Wars story if you don't put together a great plan that gets executed right. Mm-hmm. You could have it pre-Old Republic, you can have it Old Republic, you can have High Republic, you can have New Republic, you can have Empire Age, you can have 1,000 years in the future. It doesn't fucking matter one squirt of piss. All that matters is wherever you put it, do you then put together an excellent plan and then execute it? And that's all it is to it. Acolyte could have been awesome. It could have been awesome. Mandalorian Season 3 could have been awesome. People just oversimplify it way too much. It's way more complicated than that. All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says, I get annoyed by the complaint that Marvel fights don't have any stakes. I heard it a lot about the airport scene in Civil War, and I heard it again in Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like they think fights only have stakes when it is to the death. And continues, we all knew Deadpool and Wolverine weren't going to kill each other, but that doesn't diminish the joy in it. I love their fights and thought they were fantastic. Plus, they were just working out their aggression.
Okay, you don't have to like Captain America Civil War. It's okay if you don't like the movie. But you simply don't know what you're talking about if you think that airport fight scene did not have stakes. They weren't going to kill each other, but that wasn't the point of the exercise. They were not fighting each other to the death. They were not trying to kill each other. There was a major significant narrative turn that was in the precipice of whether or not it was going to be able to execute it or not. Was Cap going to be able to get on that, what's it called? The Twinjet? Quinjet?
Quinjet.
Yeah, the Quinjet. Whether or not Cap was going to be able to get on that and go do what he needed to do. There were massive stakes when it came to that fight. Now, the Deadpool and Wolverine one, I think as somebody who loves that movie, I think you've got an argument that there's not stakes involved in either of the two Deadpool and Wolverine fights, either in front of the Fox sign or in the car. Those were there. Well, I mean, it's not that they had stakes, but they were telling story. Right? The culmination of the frustration between Wolverine and Deadpool came to a head in that car and then manifested itself in this wildly entertaining fight. Lack of stakes? Sure. I'll concede that. I think that's not an unfair assessment. But I don't think stakes were the point in that fight. It was the culmination of their frustration. And I thought it was kind of glorious. But hey, to each their own. All right. What's next?
Sam I Am says, hello, John and everyone. I want to say that I appreciate that you are a Supernatural lover. It's one of my all-time favorite shows. Mm-hmm. If Jared joins The Boys Season 5, I really hope him and Jensen acknowledge each other.
I don't know if he will, but I mean, every frickin' buddy else from Supernatural has been in The Boys.
Uh-huh.
And there have been many Supernatural things. Just this past season, right? The president is doing putt-putt golf in his bugger, and he misses, and he says, oh, well, first of all, he calls the one guy an idiot, which is totally what his character in Supernatural said. And then when he missed the putt, he said what was this other big catchphrase? I'm forgetting what it was. But anyway, there are lots of little tiny balls. Richard Loy says it. He said balls, which is exactly what his Supernatural character would always say, right? And the Boys is actually kind of filled with these little tiny references to Supernatural. If they do bring him into season 5, which I've not heard that they will, but if they do, there'll be some kind of wink or a nod. I think so. All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says, what's the pettiest reason you have disliked a movie? The first time I watched Mamma Mia, the whole time I was like, just get a paternity test. That's the solution. The story's set in 2000, so it's not like paternity tests hadn't been invented yet. Then you'd miss all that wonderful ABBA music.
We would have missed Pierce Brosnan singing.
Yeah.
I think the part of
The
it was
better.
well, because it wasn't the mom trying to find out; it was the daughter trying to find out. But I think she was trying to find out without making it obvious she was finding out.
Because she wanted one of them to walk her down the aisle.
Yes.
So, like, having them there at her wedding, yeah, if you're going to do a paternity test, you have them drink, you get the saliva, you send it off to the lab, blah, 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 blah.
But
But
don't
if
you
you
need
want to do
blood
this
for a
before-
paternity test?
Isn't it a mouth swab?
You might be right. I have never participated in a paternity test.
I'm not
Clearly,
going to work because DNA
The amount of
tests-
people who think I've gotten them pregnant.
because like Ancestry and 23andMe use mouth swabs.
Yeah.
And that's DNA genetics.
Yeah.
So yeah.
all right. What's next?
All right. Anonymous says, "Hi John, did you see Inside Out 2 is now projected to outgross The Lion King as the highest grossing animated film in history in 2 weeks? This movie just won't stop. Do you think it has enough juice to cross 1.7? Doesn't have to cross 1.7.
I'm not convinced it has enough juice to get. I'm not saying I'm convinced it won't, but I mean it still has some money to make, and it's literally making in the low single digits now per week, and that will drop by 50% every week. So I don't know that it's going to get there. If it does, amazing, and we'll definitely celebrate it here on the show because the movie is so deserving. But I'm just not sure that it will. All right, what's next?
All right, members. James Desiel says, just started The Old Man last night, and that pilot was wow, 10 out of 10. First 2 episodes were directed by John Watts, and Wolf's just shot way up my anticipation list. Bridges and Lithgow crush, as do the younger actor counterparts.
I've always wanted to watch this show,
Yeah.
and I keep forgetting about it, and I've never watched it. Have any of you guys watched?
Not
The Old
yet.
Man?
Every time I see a trailer, I think, why am I not watching this?
Yeah, because I hear it's great.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
And I had no idea that John Watts directed
I
it.
didn't either.
Me either.
And James, if you like John Watts, check out Cop Car with Kevin Bacon. That was John Watts directed.
All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth says, have you ever been introduced to someone in a movie that other people would never have expect to hear? Like how I was introduced to Kevin Spacey in A Bug's Life instead of David Fincher's Seven.
That's
Huh.
great, first of all. Like, oh, Kevin Spacey, yeah, Bug's Life.
That's a really...
Love that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what? Maybe... Who played Charles Xavier? Not Patrick
Oh
Stewart.
my God.
Um,
James
McAvoy.
McAvoy, thank you.
I think I did that with James McAvoy in Wanted. I can't remember if I was really familiar with him in anything else other than Wanted before
Oh.
that.
Well, for him, it was Mr. Tumnus, where I was just like,
That's
why
right.
is he in
Lion the
this?
Witch in the
Yeah.
Wardrobe.
so that always was
That's
weird.
right. That's right. Oh, I totally forgot that was him. That's a good one. That's a really good one. All right, what's next?
Okay. Cam Play says, y'all excited for the Sonic 3 trailer tonight?
What?
Oh, I didn't know it was coming
Is
out.
that official? That's actually coming out tonight?
Game Day, Ray.
Game day?
I know Ray's gonna be excited.
Yeah, and also there's like a trailer that was supposed to release today. It's it Neon or A24? It's with Jonah Hill. It's called Y2K, and Kyle Mooney,
Oh
Kyle
no,
Mooney
I think
from
it did
SNL?
come out.
Yeah,
I think
wanted
it did,
to
but
see
I have
that
not seen it
because
yet myself
I have
yet.
no
though.
idea what it's about, and the poster looked pretty.
All right, what's next?
Sir Malmston says Snow White will have to gross at least 336 million to break even, according to Forbes' analysis of recently released filings. Do you think it will turn a profit after several delays for Disney? The way it
Yes.
looks great.
Yeah, listen. I gotta tell you, I have not known what to think about the Snow White thing. I know that the actress is tremendous, but I've really not known what to think about it. That trailer they put out at D23, again, give credit where it's due. That trailer was wonderful. And I think a lot of people liked it. I think you're going to get your normal cast of characters who are going to shit on it no matter what, but I thought it was really good. Now, I've seen lots of trailers that I thought were great to movies that I ended up hating, so maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't, but yeah, because when you look at Little Mermaid, how much did somebody look this up for me, how much did The Little Mermaid make? Because I know it was over 400 million.
596.
590, like $600 million. Yeah, I think Snow White will be profitable. I don't think it'll be an $800 million film. Don't get me wrong. But if it's just got to like get to 400 million to be comfortably in the profit, yeah, I think it'll be profitable. I think there's gonna be a lot of families that go to this. But a lot of that will depend on, did they make a good movie? That's going to be the end of the day. If they made a good movie and families want to go out and see it many times, it absolutely will. All right, what's next?
Smart says, have you seen Jackpot yet? It's our Shang-Chi 2 preview.
You know what? I remember I forgot about it, and last night, Ann and I popped the TV on when we go to bed for just a little bit before we fall asleep. And one of the recommendations on Amazon was Jackpot. And I thought, oh, we got to watch it in the next couple of days. I've heard it's awful. I've heard it's really bad. Did you see it?
No, we started to put it on last night, and then Logan checked reviews, and he was like, you know what? I don't think you want to spend your time doing this today.
Yeah.
So instead, I played Final
I've
Fantasy.
heard it's terrible, but I want to watch it nonetheless.
Yeah. 'Cause I like
so-
Simu. I want to see him.
Well, him and Aquafina
Yeah.
reunited. So I'm going to give it a shot, but I've heard it's terrible. So, all right, what's next?
Oh, wrong shot. Okay, here. King Daddy Goat says, hey, John and crew, hope all is well. Did you guys see the trailer for Y2K?
Nope.
It reminds me of a cross between Idle Hands, Road Trip, and This Is the End. It's not going to win Oscars, but looks like it could be fun. Did you guys check it out? And if you did, what are your thoughts? Well, we have not.
after.
Yeah, afterwards, later today, I'll watch it.
After.
But as we've already mentioned, haven't been able to see it at this point. All right, what's next?
Krob says, yesterday you were asked about any future excitement of upcoming releases like you were for Deadpool and Wolverine. You said you didn't foresee any, but what about Gunn Superman?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's next year. Super excited. Obviously, I'm very, very excited for James Gunn's Superman. I'm not going to pretend like it's on the same level of excitement that I had for Deadpool and Wolverine, though. Right? It's going to take like a significant, not a Mandalorian Star Wars movie, like a significant Star Wars movie or something like that. So look, I'm clearly very excited for the new Superman. Cannot wait for it. But I don't know that I'd put it on the same level as Deadpool and Wolverine for myself right now. With Ray, it's probably Sonic.
Yeah.
That's probably the big countdown.
No,
for
no,
him
no.
right now.
Mine is Paddington in Peru. We're gonna do a countdown to that in January.
I'm
sure.
so excited for that movie.
I still have to see the second one. I love the first one. I
It
still have to
might
see
be
the
better
second.
than the first. It's so, like
It's really good.
people laugh at me when I say it. But if the third Paddington movie, and it's a big if, is on the same level as the first two, it's, for my money, it's in the discussion of a top 5 trilogy of all time. The movies are that good. They do different things than other movies do, but
Right.
on what it delivers, it's amazing.
Yeah, for what it's supposed to be.
All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says, just rewatched Hang 'em High with Clint Eastwood for the first time in 15 years. Still one of my favorite Eastwood Western. What's yours? That's easy. Outlaw Josie Wales.
Ooh, I thought you were gonna say Fistful of Dollars.
Outlaw Josie Wales by a mile.
Outlaw Josie Wales is really good.
I do love
But
the
you
Man
know-
with No Name trilogy.
Yeah.
So like Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More, and Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I like those, but they're spaghetti westerns.
But I gotta go with his most recent one, Unforgiven.
Yeah. And most recent, it was like 91 or whatever.
I mean, but I
I
mean,
know
so
what
it's
you
not
mean.
the
Yeah.
old Clint
Sure,
Eastwood
sure,
ones,
sure,
but like Unforgiven is like one of the best movies ever. It's like it's a borderline perfect movie.
Tombstone is not a Clint Eastwood movie,
No,
guys.
not a
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood.
Oh,
movie.
they're not.
If
They're
you're
not
just
saying
talking
like
about
Best
Western.
Western.
And Gran
Yeah.
Torino is not a western.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Rob Buck says, "Hey crew, getting ready to host a charity live stream, and just wanted to say I appreciate
Nice.
how easy you make this look. You run a well-oiled machine and you make it seem flawless. Hoping a little rubs off on me. Well, we hope to rub off on you.
I know Rob. Rob's one of my students.
Oh, he's messaged us before.
Yeah, he has a killer Power Rangers podcast that if you guys are into Power Rangers, you should absolutely listen to. But yeah, he does this every year where he does a live stream for like 24 hours to raise money for a different charity, which is delightful.
That's so nice.
Yeah, hit up Rob, you guys. He's a sweetie and
That
so
first of all,
talented.
that's awesome that you're doing that, man. That's incredible. And thank you for the kind words. Been doing this a long time, but thank you for the kind words, man. Appreciate that, and I hope you have great success with your charity event, man. That's awesome that you're doing that. All right, let's take 2 more.
Okay. Sean Sheridan says, thoughts on the last minute bid for Paramount. That's a big question.
Sorry, where's that? Thoughts on what?
On the bid for Paramount.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I told people back when the Skydance thing was like, everybody said, oh, it's all done. I'm like, guys, it's not done. It is still open for more bids. It's just that Skydance built into their thing that if Paramount in principle accepts their offer in principle, that, what is it, like a $500 million breakup fee? Like Paramount is still totally free to sell themselves to somebody else. They just got to pay a penalty to Skydance if they do. I think it's going to end up being Skydance. I think that's probably where it's going to end up, but I'm not surprised by it. And I don't think it's the last one, to be honest with you. All right. Last question today. What's next?
All right. Amin says, if RDJ is even in just a scene or two in Fantastic Four, I think it would be silly for Marvel not to use him in the marketing. That would definitely get a lot more people to see the film. We suspect he will be in it, but do you think they will show him in the marketing?
I'll tell you this. If he's in it for one scene, quick cameo, they better not put him in the marketing. They better not. Because that will equal a lot of pissed off people.
People are going to think, people are going to think he's.
If you put him in the trailer, people are going to go in thinking, they may not think he's the main villain of the movie. They may understand that. But you put him in just a 2-minute trailer, there are going to be a lot of people that go into that movie expecting to see Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. They're not going to go in there expecting a one quick shot cameo. So I think as brilliant as an idea as it is to have, and it is a brilliant idea to have Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. It's a fabulous idea. Loads of potential narrative upside. Doesn't mean they're going to do it well, but it's got a lot of potential. If he's in Fantastic Four at all, if it is for just one quick scene, they really should not put him in any of the marketing. They really shouldn't, because it's just going to make people mad, I think. All right, what's next?
That's basically it, I think.
All right. And guys,
Wow.
that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because it gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me. Ray Ora.
See you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys.
Chris Carr, who will be back again tomorrow.
I will. Bye, y'all.
My name's John Campea, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, my friend, Preschool Predator.
No.